Hey, fight fans, welcome back to Carlo Perusa MMA. Today I am with Miss Corrine Laframboise. Corrine, how are you doing today? You're fighting on the Dana White Contender Series. You're fighting week 5. You're only a few weeks away from the contest. What is the mindset like knowing you're close?
Super good. Everything's going so well so far. So I'm really happy to fight on the Contender series. So yes, super good. Thank you.
So how did you find your start in this crazy world of combat sports?
How do I start with the Brazilian Jiu Jitsu at the beginning. Like that, I did a lot of competition and I was kind of good in it. So I won the world championship in Abu Dhabi. I won a couple of competition, but for Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, you need to pay all the time for your trip, your coach. So I decided to switch for MMA to being paid to do what I love in life. So that's how I turn in MMA professional straight right away.
Obviously, you have that strong Brazilian jiu-jitsu base, but what was it like throwing the other elements of mixed martial arts? The striking and the wrestling. What was it like? Learning those parts of the game.
At the same time that I started Brazilian Jiu Jitsu at 24 years old, and at the same time I started to do Muay Thai too. I was more skilled on Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, so but I was able to do Muay Thai, and Muay Thai it's more kind of I don't know how to say it, but it's more square. Like so, I joined a boxing club, like English regular boxing, and to be better on the to have better skill on boxing stuff. And after that, I joined the wrestling club to be able to do my transition. Like I feel like when you're good in wrestling, you decide where you want to go. You want to bring that fight. You want to play upstairs or you want to bring her on the ground. So yeah, I really think it's important to have a little bit of everything, but my strong skill is definitely wrestling and jiu-jitsu. But I have good right hand and good punch too, so which is useful.
You fight out of Canada. You represent the great province in Quebec. What is the MMA scene like in Canada? How have you been liking working with the promotions in Canada? What is it like finding fights in Canada?
That I think it's a little bit more complicated in Canada because amateur it's not legal. I don't know for the other province, but in Quebec it's not legal. We need to fight. We cannot fight amateur like in theory. And on the professional level, there is not a lot of organization. In my time, there was TKO, who give a lot of visibility. It was on UFC Fight Pass. Now it just there is the Samurai who take the place in Quebec, but the fight scene can always increase, I guess, and it can be better if amateur MMA will be legal. Like it helps for sure. But yes.
Quebec, one of the first provinces that allowed mixed martial arts competition. I mean, I think people don't realize how much MMA has grown in the last 20 years. 15, 20 years ago, people thought this was criminal. It wasn't accepted everywhere. There were so many places where it was illegal. Toronto didn't even have it legalized until like 2013 professionally. Quebec, though, they had it. UFC would go there. Obviously, Mr. George St. Pierre, a guy who headlined a bunch of shows, a guy, if you're from Quebec, you probably look up to, and you probably like. Do you take any inspiration off of GSP?
GSP is really a great athlete. Is for sure really good at what he's doing, and inspiration. Yeah, I have the chance to work at the same wrestling club, like on Tuesday and Thursday. A little bit less now because he took his retirement, but I he continued to be involved on the wrestling part at the wrestling club, and it's still a great athlete. The focus that he have, the intensity that he put and the effort that he put in his training. So for sure, I think he's an inspiration all the Québécois who's doing martial art. Sure.
You've been on a roll lately with your career. I mean, winning 5 of your last 6. And one thing to take note is you're a very well-rounded mixed martial artist. You're winning some of these victories from chokes on the ground. You're also, finishing opponents with knockouts. At what point in the career did you really start thinking, if I want to do this, if I want to try to get the UFC, if I want to try to get the big shows, I need to be as well-rounded as possible?
It's the goal since the beginning, like to reach that's the NHL of our sport. Like that's the best organization that you can be in the world. I think so. That was the goal since the beginning. Doing mixed martial arts and being paying for to live that lifestyle. So I think it's really nice, and to have the opportunity to travel around that. For me, I like it. Like most of a lot of my career time, like the last 2 3 years, I was working in Abu Dhabi in the Arab Emirates, so you can travel, but it was to gain experience, and the goal since the beginning was to reach the UFC.
You've taken on some very tough opponents. One opponent really sticks out here on your resume, Miss Magnon Furo, obviously someone who's in the UFC, who's doing really big things. The fight didn't go your way, but did you learn anything from that contest?
The fight against Manon Fiorot was a real war since the beginning. She if I learn a lot of things that I work on it, and I that's the goal, to keep going and keep getting better. But I feel like since that fight, I feel like I have a great like I don't know how to say it in English, but it's a good
Mindset.
kick in the butt to keep going, and to like to work on a lot of things on the distance, to work on a lot of things on the. I don't know how to explain it really well in English, but the Manon Fiorot was a real war, and I'm proud of it. I think positive positive from that fight. Yeah.
Since the Magnon Furo fight, 3 straight finishes. I mean, an armbar, KO, triangle choke. I mean, you've been going out there putting on great performances. Walk me through a little bit on the triangle choke against Carolina. At what point, when you were on the ground with her, did you see the opening to maybe pull that off?
It's some combination and some technique that we work often and often at the gym. So armbar transition to the triangle and omoplata, and so that's I think that was a natural flow. So the it I cannot say more than that. She was super flexible on that arm bar. So we decided to switch. I decided to switch for the triangle, and that's it. It was a natural flow that we are doing more often at the gym. Yeah.
I think so many people watch mixed martial arts. They see the UFC, they see the PFL, they see all the big shows, and they look at all the fighters and they're like, wow, they're famous, they're superstars. But I don't think people realize until you get to the UFC, it is hard. There's a lot of sacrifices that need to be made. You're not making millions of dollars fighting on the regional scene quite yet. I know you have kids. You have a lot of sacrifices to do. Some fighters have to work full-time jobs just to pay for the training for them to focus on their dreams. How do you get through it? What makes you stay positive and motivated through this process?
But for sure, you cannot do mixed martial art, and you cannot do that for money. At the beginning, I remember my first fight in Germany. I paid to go there, and the sponsor helps a lot. Yes, for sure, but you don't make you don't make a lot of money, and even reaching the UFC, like it's okay, but it's not a career that you're gonna do until you are 60 years old. So I guess you better to be smart and put money on the side, or like gauge interesting. Or me, I want for the next year. I want to take that contract in the UFC September 10th. That's what I'm gonna do, and do it like because it's a lifestyle that I enjoy, definitely enjoy the freedom that you can training like uh, training every day or most of it, and I have that liberty. Bring my kids around. She doesn't need to go at the daycare all the time. I can make her enjoy that lifestyle. You work on your health by eating well and by having, I don't know, that's a crazy lifestyle, and the freedom that come with that lifestyle, you need to love it, because if you do that just for the money, it's not a good option for sure.
Following your last victory against Carolina, did you feel you did enough to make it to the Contender Series?
Yes, 100%. I feel like on my last fight, on my sixth last fight, I think my only loss is against Manon Fiorot, which is second or third on the ranking actually, and it was a war until the end. So I think I have definitely my place in the UFC with the. I give uh, like a sparkling fight every time. It's a show when I'm fighting. It's always like a war, or I like to finish my opponent if it's not just with the submission. It's a TKO too. If I have a cold knockout, I will like it. But I always give a show, so I definitely think that I have my place in the UFC.
Now, do you remember where you were when you got the phone call that you got the opportunity to be on the Contender Series?
But it started before, because I was supposed to fight last year, but I learned that I was pregnant 3 days before to take the plane. I learned that I was like 3 months and a half pregnant. So if we check at when I had that call, it was 2 years ago. Like 2 years ago, my manager called me and asked me if I'm interested to being part of a Contender series, and I said yes without no hesitation. They, I remember that call. It's been a long time. I'm super glad, super happy that they gave me the second chance, even after the pregnancy, the surprise baby. Last September, I'm super happy to have that opportunity again for this September.
So it's been a couple years now since you fought. There's been a bit of a layoff there, and it looks like you were supposed to originally fight Grain Guerrero on the Contender Series originally. You had a kid. A lot of things happened to you. How have you tried to overcome that layoff to maybe try to avoid the ring rust and stuff that's associated with, fighting for the first time in a couple of years?
But I think it's like the last time I was ready, last year I was ready to fight. I did a whole training camp about that. I never quit, or I never stopped training really. Like even in my pregnancy, I was training, not at the same intensity for sure, but I was training for all all the time. So I never took like let's say a year off or 9 months off, or so I feel it's not something that bothering me, or that enter in my head. So I feel confident about that. Ring rust, but you will see September 10th. How is it? My kind of ring rust.
What would it mean for you to get a contract, be able to fight in the UFC?
What does that mean? It means that I reach part of my professional goal. Like I want to reach that organization, and I think like if somebody keep going and make the effort, and I never stop, never quit, and I think uh, the goal is to reach that organization, which is mean it's the best athlete in the world who fight in the UFC. So I think I definitely have my place there, and for the next couple of years that let's say for the next 5 6 years that I have to be able to I have a strong body to work in that at this level. My skills, I'm on point, so I feel like I deserve my place for the next couple of years to climb that ranking, and to have that revenge against Manon Fiorot, who's gonna take that belt in the flyweight division.
So let's get into it. You're taking on Nicole Kalari, week 5 of the Dana White Contender Series. Overall, what do you think of her as an opponent?
What I think about my opponent, she's a good opponent that I have to come back in the ring. I think she's good. She have a decent boxing. She have a decent wrestling, just decent jiu-jitsu. But I feel better in every situation, boxing, wrestling, and on the ground. So I feel confident.
You know, if this one stays on top and it stays on the feet, do you feel like you have a very good advantage with the striking over her?
I think I have an advantage everywhere over like on the if we stay on the foot, if we want to bring the fight on the ground, and if we play on the ground on my cardio too, I feel confident, and it's a bit selfish, but it's all about me. Like I want to decide. We for sure watch her fight and watch what she's doing, but most of the fight's gonna be about me. If I want to box her, if I want to bring her on the ground, if we play on the ground, uh, she's gonna be a stair to climb to reach my goal. So that's how I see my opponent.
You know, you're the first fight of the night. Do you like that? Do you like to be able to get out there and start off the show?
Yeah, why not? Like I will be ready, even if it's 4 o'clock or 7 o'clock. I will be ready, no problem at all. And for the moment, we are the first fight of the night, so why not? Let's give a show.
You know, you've already been out to Vegas. You've already done the media work. You got to check out the Apex and all that. What was that experience like, you know, seeing the UFC, being out there and just knowing, hey, I'm going to be fighting this cage here pretty soon?
Nah, how was it? Like I feel like as I say, maybe I will repeat myself, but I feel like it's my place. I feel like I deserve to be there 100%. So I just need to go get that contract September 10th and give a show that Dana White cannot forget about it.
You know, there's a few Canadian fighters in the UFC doing big things at the moment. Obviously, you have Mike Malott, you have Jasmine Justa Vicious. I mean, so many former ones like Rory McDonald, George St. Pierre. You know, the list goes on and on. What would it be like to be able to represent Canada and give the UFC another Canadian female fighter?
I think we had a good, as you said, we had a good fighter in Canada. So I'm super happy to represent Quebec, represent Canada. I am part native, so that's our country, and I'm really proud to represent it all over the world.
So, you know, a lot of things happened the past couple of years. Obviously, the birth of another child. You have a couple kids now. How much motivation do you get from them?
Uh, it's still the same since the beginning. The goal to reach my goal for the familial goal was to have a kid and find my husband, have a kid, and I feel like that goal is achieved. And now I need to focus on my professional goal, which is to reach the UFC. So 2024, I think it's gonna be my year for sure. Yeah.
You know, do you envision every single day shaking Dana White's hand and taking the contract from him?
We're doing a lot of visualization, so I see myself finish and taking the end of Dana White, and I want to for him to have the same reaction like for because I was watching Dana White's Contender series who just start like the last episode, and I want him to have that face of what the hell just didn't happen.
You know, watching the shows, one thing he really likes, obviously, he likes for guys to go out there, girls go out there and get finishes. He's super excited when you get a finish. Coming into the contest, is getting a finish, is that a big point on your mind, or are you just coming in with the approach, I'm going to win it all, whatever it takes, I'm just trying to get the win?
Every time I want to have a finish, I'm that girl who likes to give a show, and even if it's as I said, even if it's submission, the knockout, ground and pound, don't no problem. A cold knockout can be cool because I didn't have it before, so a nice straight punch or something like that, I will love it. But for sure, the goal I aim to have to give a knockout or a submission to finish that round before the third round.
So you're going to be fighting over in Las Vegas, a lot of craziness. Have you thought, if you win the contest, how you guys are going to celebrate after?
When I'm going to win the contract, for sure, we're going to celebrate after, for sure.
In a perfect world, what is the outcome when you take on Nicole Kalari at the Contender Series?
In the perfect world, I finish that fight before the third round, and I give a show as best as I can give, and I will have that contract. We're doing a lot of visualization, so I go back of that September 10th fight with the contract in the UFC.
Awesome, Corrine. Well, I wish you nothing but the best. Thank you so much for talking to me today, and I'm excited to see your fight. I'm expecting the show.
Thank you very much, Carlo, and send me some good vibes for September 10th.
Absolutely. Well, Corrine, thank you so much. That's Corrine Laframboise. I'm Carlo Perusa. Stick around, fight fans.
Thank you.